I don't know. I watched this and I was like, all right, we got to talk about this. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
facts, dude. I think we are now live. Yes, looks like we're live.
So I don't know. I watched this and I was like, all right, we
Shoot.
got to talk about this.
Oh, that's weird.
Oh, it got the delay.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah, I
gonna mute
figured.
the actual stream. Okay, that makes it easier. All right, so this is it. Two blacks and a live stream tonight because it's just us two blacks, and this is our first live stream on YouTube.
Yeah.
So we decided we're going to test out this format, test out doing live streams. Hopefully, we can do a lot more of these. Tawny's not on tonight. We decided we'll pull out the big guns when we actually know what we're doing. Bring our star power in. But tonight, honestly, part of it is, Tawny's super busy, and I don't know if she's gotten through Squid Game yet, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I don't want to, force her to talk about something that she's not fully, completed on. But
You got to get it while it's hot too. It's
it's
like, yeah.
Gotta get it in. Everybody's still talking about it. The
Yeah.
memes is still fresh.
It's still going crazy. Yeah. I saw like there's a lot of people that's just like I watched a couple like joints or people like watching it live or whatever. People are still like, I still don't really know when this came out. Like, to be honest with you, like I'm like most people I'm seeing right now are like just watching it and shit. Like I'm watching like people like got they episode 3 like then watching it live up like now. Like they haven't even went through the whole, maybe they watched it on their own. I don't know, but I'm like, yeah, this is still really fresh still, even though I feel like it's been out though.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know how long it's been out, but I thought I was late to the party. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
because I was starting to see somebody put up a YouTube video like I don't know, a few weeks ago and said like it was something like I decided to watch what Netflix's most popular thing or whatever. And that was literally my first time even hearing about it. And it was the Squid Game. And I was like, what? Like, how is this the most popular thing? Like, I didn't know what it was. The imagery looked super crazy. And I was like, man, what am I looking at? And I kind of ignored it. And then like a few days later, I started seeing more and more people talking about it. And I was like, so my wife is super not like when you introduce a weird concept and it's something that just doesn't look like, if it looks too artsy basically, she's like, yeah, I don't really care about that. And so I like vaguely floated it by her, and like she was just like, whatever, you can watch it. So I just started watching it, and yeah, man, that first episode like pulled me in. Like
yeah, I feel like the first episode everybody saw and was like, all right, nah, I gotta see what, yeah, okay. Well, because I didn't even know, I never even heard of this shit, to be honest with you. Like I don't know what, I don't know. I just seen it on a bunch of stuff. I don't know. I just kept seeing it and I was like, what the hell is Squid Game? Like, and then I was at work and people kept mentioning it like in conversation, was like, yeah, we just catching up on this Squid Game. I was like, what is that? What is that? Why y'all keep saying that? What's somebody tell me? Because I didn't know. I didn't even hear. I'm not on Netflix really like that, to be honest with you. Like I feel like it kind of fell off. Like I don't really, it's like not my go-to.
Netflix fell off.
Well, because like since everybody has their own streaming, whatever service, like it's like 7,000 that is stuff everywhere. So Netflix kind of became like option 4 for me. Like it's not my go-to. You know what I'm saying? Like so I didn't even know about it.
I'm kind of the same actually. I've been kind of a Hulu junkie lately for some reason, some weird reason. Like
yeah,
I didn't even I like the last I started watching Why the Last Man and then Reservation Dogs. And then my wife got me into Only Murders in the Building. So I was like, I guess I'm just a Hulu guy. And I watch Attack on Titan on Hulu, which it's on like Netflix as well, but for some reason watch it on Hulu. So I think Netflix was kind of, yeah, it was dropping for me too. And
Yeah, they needed this for me because
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, yeah, I was not on Netflix at all. Like
yeah,
every time I
and
go on there, I spend like 30 minutes looking for something, and I'm like, man, I'm about to see what's on Prime, man. Like I don't even like watch that. I don't even watch nothing on there. I'm like, I don't know. Like it ain't. I mean, they
there has
trying
to,
to, yeah,
yeah, there has to be a way for them to improve. Like I think that's most people's experience is particularly with Netflix. I was just thinking that is specifically a Netflix thing for me too, is that I scroll through trying to decide what to watch mindlessly for like
yeah,
20
for
to 30
mad
minutes.
long, yeah, and then I don't even find nothing. Like I end up just being like, all right, I'm gonna go elsewhere. Like I don't even find nothing on there. I end up just going to Prime or something, or yeah, Prime or HBO Max or something. Like
HBO Max,
yeah,
yeah.
like that's kind of like
But
my
usually with HBO Max, I
go-tos.
know what I'm gonna watch before I go in.
Yeah,
You know,
same.
like it's kind of specific. Uh the other thing with Netflix too is like so we watched the last time I like took a chance on a Netflix thing was Fear Street. That whatever the first those three Fear Street movies they made. Um and I watched the first one with my wife, and I don't know, there was people who was hype about it. I could not get into it. Like it was
Yeah.
the most generic, like
I
it
don't
was one
even
of
know
those
what I
movies
don't
where
even know
you
what the hell that is. Yeah, I
do.
just that's what I'm saying. Like I'm so not
Yeah.
on Netflix. Like I couldn't even tell you. Like the only thing I know
So
about is this, and I know they put Seinfeld on there, which I was like, oh, they trying to trick me to come in because I love Seinfeld. So
right.
I'll just
And
throw
who
that
doesn't?
on and
Yeah.
just watch that. Like just so
They
I
they
don't
they
know.
had to they had to replace the office with something, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, Fear Street was it's not even worth talking about it too much. I just some people
yeah,
liked it. I could not get into it. Um so Squid Game. So this first episode, I feel like somebody said it was, I can't remember who, I watched a ton of reviews and they were talking about how the first episode they described it as almost like a master class in how you present a pilot to a show, because and
yeah,
I kind of agree with that. Like you got really strong, like a character defining episode. You
yeah.
introduce the concept, you have the first game in it, you have like the stakes kind of drawn out pretty clearly. um that first episode is, I think, super
Yeah.
solid.
It's fire. Like I don't even have any. Like I usually got something that I don't like about, whatever. And I mean, there's weaknesses, like I think later on in the show, like when you get
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
some of the later episodes. But that first episode is like just great character development. Like like I'm with him from the beginning on. Like I'm curious from the start until I mean, I'm curious even before we get to the actual
Mm-hmm.
games. Like I just this character is just interesting. Like
Yeah, yeah.
even before we even get to them offing people, which I'm sort of expecting. Like
Right,
and
right.
that's the crazy thing is like this show is it's not even like is there's some things that I suppose I saw people like complaining about it being predictable, and I was like, I mean, I guess like maybe there's some stuff that you could predict or whatever, but I still feel like they just executed like this was like super great execution, like regardless of not if I had stuff figured out, which I didn't have stuff figured out, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like I was watching it, like I don't know what's going on, like I have no clue, but I feel like it was just they just developed the characters well. The acting is like on point. Like the acting
Yeah.
is super fire, especially if you watch it like in Korean. I don't know about that dub. Like you gotta
Yo,
that
that
dub is
dub.
wild. Yeah, the dub is wild. I saw
Somebody,
somebody today was like, "Yo, I think the dub is actually pretty good." I was like, "Yeah, nah, I disagree." Like,
I disagree, man. Like I didn't know. So I went in, yeah, I went into the show knowing very little. I knew people die, and I know that there's they play games, and if you lose, you die. That's kind of what I knew. And same as everything you said. First episode, I think the main character's name is Gihan, and he's like kind of a loser, kind of like just doesn't have his life together, you know. He's super irresponsible, gambling, doing all the stuff you shouldn't do. And there's a lot of things about it that if you like look at it on paper, it's very like standard. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's like if I sat and talked about this character, you'd be like, oh, okay, like he sounds like an archetype almost. But the way
yeah,
it's executed is the key. Like archetypes are common, but the execution is what makes the character feel unique and special in some way.
yeah,
And super well handled. um I didn't know, yeah, I didn't know like how people died and all that kind of stuff. And in my head it was going to be some crazy gory type of thing, and
yeah,
I don't, it's not really that, right? Like it's brutal, but I
yeah.
wouldn't
It's
call it
not.
gory, you know.
Yeah.
It's just people getting shot, which is
I think that's why it's effective though. Like because
yeah.
I feel like a lesser director would have just gone for the gore because it's a battle royale
We've
style.
implanted a chip in your head and your head will explode if you hear like
Yeah,
some stuff like
yeah.
that.
I feel like that would have been like the obvious go, especially if they had, the money to do so. I feel like that was like the obvious choice is to go for something like super gory and people. And I think the smarter decision was to go for there's more like emotion in this show. Like the emotional beats work better because it's not really about the gore. They focused on the human connections
Mhm.
instead of just the if this was just like a straight up Hollywood joint, like they would have threw this, they wouldn't have thought anything about this. They would have been like, make it gory, make blood splashing all over the place, like throw some cool
And
music
this
in
one,
there.
giant blades swing down and cut through people.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
would have went that way with it and not really focused on any of the character interactions because that would have been secondary because they're like, we just want to get butts and seats, so let's just make this as fantastical as possible. And I feel like while there's they get inventive with some of the, because even the one game with the, what is it, with the sugar where they had to cut out the
Oh
shapes and
yeah.
stuff,
Honeycomb.
the
Yeah.
honeycombs, yeah, that's like not like that would seem boring. Like you would think that to watch that would be like, this is not like on papers, like we're gonna watch them try to cut out shapes from
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
honeycombs. Like that's not interesting, but like there's stakes and it's intense. Like that whole thing is
Yeah.
intense, and it's like that's because they focused on like the right things and not doing the big splashy gory shit that just
Yeah.
would have been obvious. And maybe again, that wouldn't have been for me, that would have been for somebody else. Like if it was like that, I probably wouldn't have made it through.
Yeah.
I
I
wouldn't have
mean,
made it through. I wouldn't have cared.
the character thing and like the fact that it's guns kind of, it feels so, it feels weirdly plausible, like even though, if you really pick this apart, it's hard to imagine this thing happening in real life in a realistic way and it not being known about it in any way, shape, or
Right.
form.
Right. Yeah.
But because of the way it's presented, because you have the visceral, like just people with guns pointed at people's heads kind of aspect to it, instead of it being some big, like weird kind of uh Rube Goldberg death machine type of thing,
Yeah.
it works. And like that, you're right, that emotional resonance of like the intensity isn't that they're trying to poke the cookie thing out. It's that there's like somebody with an AK right there and the
Yeah.
camera just slides over and you see it. It's reminding you like, yeah, this is this, I mean, marbles. They played marbles, and that's the most emotionally painful
Yeah.
episode of the series. They're playing
Yeah.
marbles the whole episode. You
And
know what I
and
mean?
that's how like it,
Yeah.
that's why I think that's why people are so like into it, is because they understood what, I guess, not to continue to take shots at Hollywood, but Hollywood would have went for the obvious thing, which is people want to see, excitement and all that other good stuff, and they want to see the action of it all. And I
Yeah.
think the Squid Games is not about the games at all. Like the games are kind of they're there, like you said, they're playing smart. Like this, the games are not complex. They're not like maybe some of. I mean, the first one is red light, green light. That's a extremely rudimentary. Just don't let me catch you when I stop. Like that's the simplicity of the game. Like
Yeah.
it's not extremely intricate or anything like that. Maybe the most kind of crazy, like just advanced one, I guess, is
The glass.
the glass one, which was
Yeah.
a little more like, okay, this is pretty,
That was the most extra one. Like,
yeah, that was yeah.
it was like that was almost a jigsaw level type
Yeah,
of
yeah.
thing.
And
But
and I'm not mad at that because it sort of escalated because it started off with like really sort of childish kid games, and then I like that at a certain point it like when it gets to the tug of war, that's when the stakes really raise because prior to that your losing has no effect on anybody else. You lose and then you die. There's
yeah.
nothing that it doesn't affect anyone else. So this guy falling down next to me has nothing to do with me. It's all pretty much set on what I do. The tug
Mhm.
of war thing is like the first moment where it's like, if I win, somebody else dies. Several
Yeah.
people die, like in droves. Like we about to
Yeah.
off like 8 people all at once. So like the stakes really,
Yeah.
and I like that they went like they kept it like, okay, first you just do this, and then as you get further along, your success means someone else has to die, and that raises the stakes even more. Like they keep introducing these things as like, well, it
Yeah.
ain't just about you winning the game. There's more to it, even if like the when they had the riot thing in there where it was like, yeah, if you kill somebody, that's not against the rules. It's
Yeah.
like wait, what? Like,
Right. And that's to me where it starts to get more um there's obviously a capitalism allegory happening, and I
right,
think that
yeah,
that's when it starts to really shine through of like, yeah, we'll sit and watch you eat each other, kill each other. It doesn't matter if it's part of the game we're all trying to play. It's
right,
dog eat dog out here, and
yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah. um
I like how it really, and what you really like pay close attention. Like, I mean, the allegory is obvious, like about just capitalism and just how specifically in America, like how it's the people up top, the 1% percenters or whatever, and then there's all of us down here kind of at the bottom trying to figure it out. And the entire time they're telling you you have a choice. You can choose to do whatever, like it's fair. They're calling it fair the entire time, and you guys get to choose to be here. And the reality is like, do we have a choice? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, it's either these, extremely poor, or it's not much of a choice really. You
right.
framing it as we have an option to do this or that, but it's like that the alternative to this is horrible as well. So it's like, in any put anybody in a dire circumstance, do they really have a choice? Like technically yeah they do, but it's like, yeah, yeah, they
Right.
framing it that's what even makes the old guy sort of more villainous. Is like he has that 1% sort of mentality, and even when they're watching the game on the bridge, I really like that one because it's them watching, them go through this whole thing, and they're saying that it's fair the entire time, and it's like, even when you in reality, when you feel like you got a leg up, when you feel like you're making some type of
Yeah.
headway in this world where you feel like stakes are pretty, or I'm not stakes, but you feel like everything is against you, you feel like things are difficult, and it's not easy for you, and you feel like maybe I kind of got a little bit of edge right now. They eliminate the edge. Like, oh well, you could tell if his what's glass is right. Like, oh, okay, yeah, hold on,
let
cut
me
the
let me
lights
hit
out.
these lights real
Let me hit
quick.
these lights. And that's what, and specifically in our society, that's what it is. It's like the people up top saying, pick yourself up. You can do this. Like, you got the
Yeah.
same. It's fair. You got the same. things available to you that I have to you. And it's like, I don't, but okay. And then the
Right.
moment I start to, you start to get something going, it's like, hold on, man. Hey, cut the lights out. This dude actually knows, he can tell the difference. Like, I thought that
Yeah.
scene was powerful because it was like, yeah, this is what this whole thing is about. It's like you can't win.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah, you and even when you do win, what you have to give up to win, or what you don't even want it by the end. It's like
right.
that you get through all of that, and it's like all of them the entire time is like looking at that money filling up in that piggy bank the entire time, and then by the end he's like, I don't even want this shit. Like for that, like if that's I have to do all of that just to get it, is like I don't even want it. It's like,
Yeah.
and would I should I've just been broke and unhappy too?
Right.
And it's
I mean,
like,
and that's why I really also appreciate what they did in the second episode, where it was really clever, man. Like how they took your they set up the premise, set up the main character, set everything up in the first episode, got you to that first game, and then they use this kind of story beat to give an opportunity to give some more backstory to the characters by having them sort of vote to not continue the game, and they get sent back home, and you get to see all not only Gihan's continued struggles, but you get to see Ali and Sang-woo and all of these characters at home, and you can see the mechanism behind why they would choose to go back, um, with Gihan being directly, in hindsight, manipulated in some ways by the old guy.
yeah,
Um, but still, like he was, you get to see him struggle more with his daughter and his lack of money and his mom in the hospital and all that. And you're just like, you chose to come back. So now we're here. You know the rules of the game. You chose to come back anyway. And so you almost have to accept who you are as a person as the game goes on, and you're
yeah,
actively doing things that will lead to the death of another person. The only character who really, oddly enough, felt the most, aside from Ali. Ali was like probably the most
yeah.
morally clean
Yeah,
character
he was
in the
just
game.
like, yeah,
But the girl from North Korea, I can't remember her name,
yeah,
but I didn't even like her at first. I was like, oh,
yeah,
she
me either.
cold-blooded. She pickpocketed my man, and she acting like
Yeah,
he almost got killed for that. Like, because you
yeah,
connected with Gihan so much, you feel upset with him, with her.
yeah.
She's like, you ain't even gonna untie him. Like I had all these negative
You're
reactions to
right.
her. But by the end, like she was pretty morally clean, because even in the marbles game, of our main three kind of marbles games, not including douchebag and his yeah, he got lucky
Oh yeah,
with the old boy knocking his marble in.
yeah,
Uh but you got Sang-woo like complete like killing Ali really. You got Gihan trying to fool the old man, and even though he got caught and the old man kind of conceded to him, knowing in hindsight that that was the best thing that could have happened, because nobody actually got killed in that moment, but he
yeah,
still was willing to do it. But then you
yeah.
have this girl who they just spend that whole hour or however long it was, like a half hour, something like that, just
Hmm.
talking. And she had to watch this girl sacrifice herself, and had no desire. She just wanted to play the game the normal way. It didn't seem like she was trying to rip anybody off. Um, it was kind of this tragic thing because she was one of the few that still wasn't playing the game ruthlessly,
Yeah.
at that point in time. And I don't know if she ever did. I mean, I think as I think
She
about it,
she almost comes out of nowhere. When the first episode where they like really like kind of introduce her, I'm like, who the hell is that? I was like, I don't even remember seeing her. And I think what was great about what they did with her is like they made me, I didn't even really, like I said, know that character like an episode ago. They had never, she wasn't there at the
you're talking about the
beginning.
girl that sacrificed herself.
Yeah, she wasn't
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
really prevalent whatsoever. Like in the first couple episodes, she wasn't anything. I was like, where was she at? I didn't even see her.
I was thinking the same thing. First
And
time we see her is on those steps, seems
yeah, on
like.
the stairs, yeah,
Yeah.
within that white room, I think. Is that where I can't remember
Yeah, it
now?
was when they were doing tug of war and they
Tug
each
of War,
had
yeah.
the yeah.
Yeah, and it was like I didn't. Okay, I never even seen her before, but if for them to in that short period of time develop that character, like that was just like really good character development in
Yeah.
an extremely short period of time that made me be
Yeah.
like, man, I feel so bad for and it's not like again, that's the thing that's sort of amazing about this show is it's not like her backstory is something I've never heard before. It's not like it's this new thing or something. A lot of the characters have pretty simple, their backstories are pretty simple. Like it's not really anything. It's like, oh, you owe some people some money, you need money to take care of your brother, like this
Right.
person owes somebody some money, they're just in debt. It's very simple, like it's not really complex like what these people have going on, but
Right.
man, just the execution of it, like I said, like that girl, I didn't even know her an episode or two ago, and when she died I felt horrible. I was like, man, that was sad as hell. Like I don't even know this character like that.
Yeah.
That's that's really good storytelling, because there's people that I've still watched the Walking Dead like
I was gonna
periodically
talk to you
now.
about that. Yeah.
And
That's
there's characters on there that I have been on there for years, for seasons, that I could not give a less of a fuck about. I just don't care. I don't care anything about this character with it. And they've had multiple episodes and years to build some type of equity like with the fans, and at least for me, like I have no
right.
connection
Either
to do that in
don't
one.
care or actively dislike some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they did that in like not even the show 30 minutes, but like I mean not a real 30 minutes, like inside of the show's 30
Right.
minutes, which was actually
Right.
like 5 minutes or
Right.
something.
Right.
Like
They hand. I mean, and I didn't. Initially, I didn't think I'd like her character because she had like a. Are you familiar with like the manic pixie dream girl trope?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so that's what she reminded me of. Like it's like
yeah,
the Ramona Flowers or like
yeah.
Natalie Portman in Garden State type of
Mhm.
just whimsically walk in and be like all weird. And that's her whole
Yeah.
thing is that she's weird. And
Yeah.
that's how I thought she was going to be because she kind of had this apathetic quality. Like,
Mhm.
and when she was on the elevator, like talking crazy to the dude.
It's like random.
She was just going,
I didn't like her. I was like, all right, get this. Yeah.
she was going in on him too. And like in hindsight, it was funny because I mean, that's what was so great about it. They explain to you why she feels that way, without it being like clunky and heavy handed.
Hmm.
Uh, there's just yeah, she's telling this story about her dad, her parents, and like this horrific situation that she's been in. If you find out that she's killed somebody and you just learn, like you're like, oh, that's why she's so like not phased by death. That's why
Hmm.
she's just kind of whimsically in this situation. It's just like, yeah, whatever. I kill some people if I need to. Like this dude reminds me of my dad, basically. So I definitely don't like him. Like, you know what I mean? That's
Right.
just,
Yeah.
and 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 then yeah, they have this episode where even throughout that episode, when she's talking to the other girl and she's like giving her story and she's saying it so like there's not a ton of emotion behind the way she's delivering it. It's kind of matter of fact.
Hmm.
Uh and she's listening and speak like she's just trying to have a conversation. And the other girl's like, can we just play this game? Because she doesn't realize that this girl, and it kind of dawned on me as I'm watching. I'm like, I wonder if she's just like whatever, because
Yeah.
maybe she's done. And then you have that moment happen, and then when it happens, then she feels with a she starts welling up with emotion that you haven't seen from her to that point. And that to me like punctuates that moment because it's like she doesn't really want to die, right? Like that's what I feel from her. She doesn't really want to die, but she also is in she realizes she's in an impossible situation, and
Yeah.
she's weighed her life against this other person's and decided that the other person's life was more valuable, which makes it more tragic,
Yeah.
you
It
know?
is. Yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
fire, bro. Like,
Yeah.
yo, it's like, I mean, and this is like they just went ham on that episode, just period. Like it was so many things happening at once in that episode. I was like, yo, I don't know. Like you usually like pick one, just pick one, storyline to focus on and like establish that. And like, nah, they just made you care for this one character, took him out.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. Then when they took Aaliyah, I was like, yo, come on, man. Like, this is I felt so bad for him because he really didn't do anything wrong at all. Like, even on the outside, we never see him do
No.
anything questionable.
I've seen
Like,
people criticize him for attacking that manager. I'm like, did y'all watch the same show I watched? Because
oh,
like
man, yeah.
he tried to get this man to pay him. The man is blatantly ripping him off. He's just trying to get his money, and he accidentally pushes this guy into a machine. That guy's still alive. Like,
yeah, exactly.
oh,
Like, what was he supposed to do? Like, he's obviously taking
desperate.
advantage of
Yeah.
this guy that he works for is
Oh
taking
yeah.
advantage of him being, not a citizen, and he,
Mm-hmm.
not having to pay him again. Just that capitalism and just sort of that the people on top sort of taking advantage of people as they, as they want to. And it's like, well, what is he supposed to do? Like,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
literally trying to take care of his family. That's it. That's it. Like, we
Right.
don't get, and we don't get any other thing else from him other than we know he has a family that he's trying to take care of, and he's
Yeah.
working. It's not like he's didn't work and tried to
Mm-hmm.
rob somebody. He's just trying to get what he was owed, and dude didn't give it to him. And it's like, yo, you feel worse for him because he's like a decent person.
Yeah.
He didn't even in the first game, the red light, green light, he didn't have to save Gihan. Like, we don't even know why. He just is just
He
so
just did it because he just that was a good thing to
that
do.
was the right thing to do. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like, man, and he did him so dirty, man. So I was so hot. Like,
I feel so, oh my God.
I
Like,
was so bad. I was like, yo, get this dude out of here, man. Kill this dude, man.
kill this man. Yeah, I really struggle with that. Because like I think, and people are like, well, Ali, he was dumb. He shouldn't have believed him, blah, blah, blah. I don't even like, it's weird. Like, I had to think about that. Like, do I think Ali is a dumb
He
character? Like,
wasn't dumb to me though. Like,
right.
I don't
That's what I had to kind of. I was like, because a lot of people were saying that they're like, well, he was, I feel bad for him, but he's kind of dumb. Like, obviously, the dude was. It's like, sure, maybe, but I don't think it was so much a thing of like he's too stupid to realize he's being ripped off. I saw it as like, one, he didn't know how to play this game. So he got thrown into a situation where he has to play a game he's never played before. Two, like he has this pact that he's formed with Sangwoo and Gihan. They're a group,
Mhm.
and up to this point, he's had to rely and trust that group to protect each other inside the dorms to like every step of the way. And he's built trust. They had that night. They intentionally have give you that night where him and Sangwoo are sitting watch together and they just get to know each other. Sangwoo paid for his bus ticket home, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so like up to this point, he has every reason to trust Sangwoo. Even though we've seen as viewers some things about him like that are questionable, like even in the Honeycomb game,
Yeah,
you
he
can
knew
tell he's like
something.
he
Yeah.
knew what the game was, and he still let Gihan pick the umbrella, right? Like there's stuff where you're like, I don't know, but Ali
Yeah.
didn't see any of that, and so to me, yes, Ali is not as intelligent as Sangwoo, and yes, he is a little bit gullible, but it's all rooted in him he's hard overhead. Like he's one of those people. I know people like that
Hmm.
who just are like super trusting, there's a simplicity to the way that they view others. And that's what makes it so tragic to me. It's not like, oh man, I wish if he had been smarter, but it's not that. It's like,
Yeah, it's not as simple as that. I feel like, and because of in our society, it's so because we're so conditioned and so indoctrinated in being like cutthroat that for us, someone just being pure hearted equates to them being dumb.
right. I mean,
And
that actually, that was the case. I mean, sorry to cut you off. I was thinking about Walking Dead.
yeah,
And that's been a thing on the Walking Dead from early on, is like the people hated Rick in the early seasons because they
yeah,
thought, "Oh, he's dumb. Why he just kill that guy? Why he just, hey, why would you trust that guy? Why would you do that?" And it was like Rick being a human.
yeah, and like that's how I took it. Like I never really there was nothing there wasn't enough given to the character for me to be able to equate him as being dumb. Like
Right.
it's not like he didn't uh, he doesn't understand their culture. That doesn't make you dumb. If you don't understand my culture, you're not from my culture. So I can't use that as an excuse to call him dumb. I
Right.
also, like you said, up until this point, Sang-woo has given him no reason to not trust him. Like he's actually done more. He gave him the bus fare and everything. Like he's looking at this person like, yeah, this guy has my. Well, he didn't have to do that. Why did he give me this money? Like,
Right.
and he's just looking at it like, yeah, he's a good guy. He's thinking, oh, he's a good person. I'm just being, good to him. He's, reciprocating that to me. He just seems like a kind person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like I think as viewers, we're watching and we're forgetting we're looking at stuff not from the perspective of the character, but from our perspective of what the show is showing us and
Right.
what's not what's happening, like the character's experience. Because the character's experience, like you said, why would he not trust him?
Right.
Like what reason would he have to not trust him? And it's like, man, if you look at what his character is, he's just like one of those people. He's just a sweet person. Like,
Yeah.
and again, like in our society, that means you're dumb. If you're
And
not cutthroat, you're dumb. And it's like that's what it equates to, like
which
for us.
again is probably part of the allegory of the show, right? Like capitalism, dog eat dog, like survival of the fittest. If you're not winning, you're losing. Like
Yep.
there's it's dark, but the idea that people took that away from the character, to me, is also a reflection on the way we view the world. Like
Yeah.
that, it's crazy. And like what you were saying, the whole cultural thing is interesting because like I thought about that too. Like imagine like sitting and learning Spanish for like 2 years and then actually going to live in Mexico. Like, yes, you know the language, but you are infinitely behind in
Yeah.
just understanding, being immersed in the culture. That's what culture shock is.
Yep.
Like, not you're in a place that is not your home, and you don't understand. There's layers and nuances you just don't understand, and it takes a long time to understand. We don't know how long Ali was in South Korea, but even if he's been there for a couple years, it just doesn't equate to his home country. And
Yeah.
him having to learn all these the culture and the customs and getting ripped off. And then you find
That's
a
easy
friend.
to get
You
ripped
find a
off.
friend,
Yeah.
yeah, and you like you trust that friend even more because it's like, well, what else do I what else do I do? Like, another thing is that he was also very uncomfortable with the idea of killing Sungwoo. Like, that's the other piece people I don't think are reflecting on either, is like he kept saying like, can I please play this game with somebody else? Can I, like,
Yeah.
he just did not want to. He was not comfortable. Sang-woo was like acting up too. Like, he was getting mad and crying and
Yeah.
all
He
that.
was
And it was
getting
just
extra.
like,
Yeah.
you imagine that? Like, this is my guy, and he thinks I'm trying to kill him, and I have all the opportunity to kill him in this moment. And then all of a sudden he's like, yo, hey, we can, you know me. Like,
Yeah.
we can figure this out together. Sang-woo was putting that. If you look at the dialogue, it's so good, well written, because
Yeah.
he's like hitting him with every emotional punch that he can with his
Yeah.
dialogue. He's like, yeah, it's like the way he's kind of manipulating him is expert, and that's Sang-woo's skill. He's
Yeah.
a master manipulator. So
Yeah, like
um,
that one was, like I said, like that that one sucked because I was like, man, hell nah. Like, yo, y'all can't.
I was so mad.
I was so petty. Like it was terrible because I was like, yo, this dude he turned into a villain. Like at the beginning of the show, I don't think anything about him at all. I'm just kind of
Right.
like, yeah, I mean,
He went to he went to the university. That's all we
right,
know.
yeah. That's all we know. They keep pushing that. Like said that like 7,000 times, but
Yeah, I was like, hey, don't worry about him. This is my guy. He went to
yeah.
the university. Like, all right, man.
But yeah, like that like I mean, even when he
Yeah.
killed the other guy, the glass the guy that worked with the glass, like I felt
Oh, yeah.
that was terrible. That was ruthless.
Well, that
Like,
was when Gihan saw it for the first
yeah,
time, you know.
yeah, and he just like, and I mean, listen, I understand, but like I saw somebody talking to, and it's interesting. It's like people at the top too, especially these types of things sort of they can use to justify being the way that they are. Like, see, the world is terrible. People will be terrible when it comes to, their own lives and their own survival. So that justifies why I had to step on so many necks and backs to get up to this point where I'm at now. People are terrible anyway. I just was ahead of the curve. Like, I was just good at it. And it's like that's the justification of a lot of, whether it would be politicians or whatever, Fortune 500 people, a lot of them, like, I'm never surprised when something comes out with some, super wealthy billionaire that they were doing something crazy. Like, I'm never shocked. I'm never like, oh, what? No way. That dude with $1 billion was doing what with little kids? Like I'm never shocked. I'm like, yeah, of course he was. Like,
He's
that's
got $1
like,
billion.
yeah, well, and it's like it's sad, but it's like, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't trust people with that much money. I don't know. Like, I've yet to see one where I'm like, they don't do questionable shit to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
No,
even
there's because in order to get, there's a level of, I don't know, it's probably cynical to say this, but there's a level of wealth that you have to make some dark and questionable decisions along the way to get to. Even if they're not the darkest things, there has to be, there's something in you that was okay with saying no more. And sometimes it doesn't show up in any kind of big horrible way, but then when it does, somebody like me or you might look at it and be like, well, there it is. There's
yeah,
your
because
proof.
I mean, even that sort of mentality that I need more.
Right, right.
You and listen, I'm not saying that it's anything wrong with you trying to create generational wealth or whatever. Like, I wish there was more of that, in our communities, so we didn't have, the disparities that we do have.
Mhm.
But there is something to be said about like just the acquisition of power and money
Mhm. Mhm.
and sort of the pursuit of that and what that means about what that says about you,
Right.
that you want all of it. Like, and to me, it's like, I understand wanting to be self-sufficient, being financially independent. I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything crazy about that. But to be all powerful is sort of a weird thing to want, in my opinion. Like, I don't know why do you want that?
Right.
That's
Right.
strange to me, to want that.
Because you're
And
aware that wanting that means, in order to be that powerful, you have to have power over.
over something or
Yeah.
someone, and why do you want that? Like, I could understand you wanting something specifically for yourself, like I said, financial freedom or whatever from having to work for somebody. That makes sense to me. Like, I get
Right.
like wanting to wake up and do what it is you want to do and not be beholden to, someone else's schedule or whatever the case is. That's convenience and, stuff like that doesn't really seem crazy to me. And I mean, you could be crazy and want that as well, but it's just really interesting to me, people who want power.
Right.
That amount of power is always strange. Like, those types of people, to me, no matter how, normal or whatever they seem. There's something strange about that, man. I'm sorry. It's just
Yeah.
weird that you want
Well,
that. Like,
it's like, so, that's why, and I don't lump everybody into the same bucket, but you can kind of start to discern, right? Like, I think there's a difference between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Um, Now, people don't like either of those guys, but I
right.
actually have less of an issue with Elon Musk than I do with Jeff Bezos, and here's why. Like, Jeff Bezos built his company, from the ground up, whatever,
Yeah.
but he built a company that sells things, and his innovations have all been within the realm of trying to get you to buy things and use his product to buy, sell, do whatever. And he's gotten filthy rich off of that, acquired more things. He's done it the way that billionaires do it, right? But
Yeah.
to me, Elon Musk's innovations are more tied to his curiosities and to like trying to make something no one's ever made before, or do
Yeah.
something. I can respect that a little bit more. Like, there's
Yeah.
something around, like, almost like the wealth was just gonna happen. Like, almost like
Yeah.
he's like, I'm probably gonna get rich. While I'm doing that, I'm gonna make this thing. Maybe that'd be how I get rich, and like, is what it is, right? Like, he started giving away all his stuff, and because he felt guilty. Like, to
Yeah.
me, there's layers to that, right? Like, it's like you
Yeah.
started giving away all your stuff because you felt bad for being so rich. Like,
Yeah. There
uh,
is a difference though, like because you like I don't know, like so it's like certain people, like you said, they're it seems like he could possibly just be a visionary and someone
right,
who was destined to this person was just one of those people like Steve Jobs almost is
yeah,
like is
yeah,
that where it's like this dude just had an idea. He had a lot of ideas for some
yeah,
stuff, and the ideas that he had in the realm that he was in, that guy was going to make money. I don't know how much, but that guy was going to make some money just because of his
right,
ambition. And I don't know him. I didn't know him personally, obviously, but I don't know if his mission was to become a billionaire. I have no clue what his mission was. Possibly, but it
right,
did seem very much so like he wanted to create these things that he
yeah,
felt like were important. And listen, a billionaire is a billionaire. I'm like,
right,
I'm
right.
sure they all have some of similar sort of traits, but there is a difference. I think there's a
What
distinguishing
drives you?
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's driving your ambition? It's like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's very wealthy, but he's not wealthy because he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get rich." He's wealthy because he just was obsessed with winning, right? And there's a version of that that's probably true of a lot of billionaires, being obsessed with winning. But what are you trying to win at? Like, if you're
yeah,
just trying to win by just being mega powerful and can't nobody stop me, that's different than
yeah,
saying
yeah,
can't nobody stop me on a basketball court.
yeah.
Can't nobody stop me from making the dopest car that you've ever seen. Um,
That's a
I don't know.
villain at that point. Like I feel like
Right.
people just want like unlimited power. He's a
Unlimited power.
Palpatine, like it's just like why do you, I don't know. I don't know. I was like, I don't know why you want that, but that's strange. But all right, man.
But that's the thing. And this show does a really good job of kind of playing with that idea. And you can tell Sang Woo has got that in him. Um, what's interesting is because the reason why I think that's true of him is because they do a good job of kind of showing you why these people ended up, desperate enough to do this. And he's one of the ones where he was the guy coming out of the hood. Like, he was supposed to
Yeah,
be, he was supposed to be the one, like,
yeah, yeah,
and he went up there, he got a role. And what does he do? He starts, basically it sounds like embezzling or doing something like with a crazy amount of over something billion won or whatever. Like, he was
yeah,
in it. And it's like, why would you do that? What do you want? Like, why would you stretch that far?
yeah.
you know
Like he was questionable before he got here. Like this dude was. I mean, Gihan
he
is
put his
is
mom's shop up for collateral.
yeah. And I mean, Gihan is not a great dude either before he
Right.
gets there, but he also is not somebody who innately is trying to hurt people or
Right.
get over on like he's just bad at what he's bad at. He's not a good
Mhm.
better. He's not good with money. He's not a good dad, but also, you know, some of that we find out later comes from just that dude is going through trauma. Like he's got some issues that, you
Yeah.
know, have never
Yeah.
been resolved that he, you know, he's sort of just living with. But I don't think he really is he's not a bad person at all. He's just not good at life. Like that's like
Hmm.
really his biggest fault is he's just bad at this.
Yeah.
Like, but he's not really a bad person. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like Sung Woo is like a bad dude before he got here. Like he was not like
You're just a bad
he
person.
was a bad dude. Like, I mean, because he was
Yeah.
doing like questionable shit, like hurting people, basically, I'm sure, with the decisions that he was making, like before he even got here. So for him, this is an easy, you know, it's like, you know, like I said, like The Walking Dead. There's some people that transition well into like it was easy. Like it's easy for Shane to just be like, oh yeah, we gotta kill people now. Like,
It's
all
a world
right,
we live in, Rick.
well, yeah.
When you gonna wake up? Yeah.
And it's like there's some
Yeah.
people that was like, wait a minute, what this shouldn't be this easy. And it shouldn't. Like
Hmm.
if you're a
Hmm.
decent person, and we always, you know, talk crazy and shit while we watching, like, man, you gotta kill that dude. But the
Right.
reality
Right.
is like, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. That would be hard for me to have to make the decision to, you know, take some because it's like, how do we know this is when I go back to real life? Like, how do I know there's no consequence for this? Like,
Right.
like you just
And
know there's no consequence for this. Like, that, this is the way it is. It's like,
and the lines that you cross, um, the lines you cross are like you can't go back over those lines. Like,
yeah,
uh, I think about that idea. Like, I think that's what separates Gihan too, because I think as I reflect more on his character, it's like, yeah, he was kind of scummy though. Like he stole his mom's bank card and stuff, and like
yeah,
it was like, bro, come on, man. Like, but he was like low level scummy, and
yeah,
like where like it was like, oh, he's being irresponsible. He's doing stupid and inconsiderate things that he thinks he'll be able to make up for later and apologize for later and kind of he thinks, oh, if I get this money out, he doesn't explicitly say this, but it's like if I get this money out and go make a whole bunch, then I'll put it back in my, it's just like a nature to what he's doing that is
yeah.
very human. Like I've been there when I was younger, like doing dumb
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
being
yeah.
like it'll be okay. I take care of it. I'll fix it.
Right.
Like that's kind of where he's at. He's immature, and
Yeah. Mhm.
and so, but he has a really good heart, and so once you get put in a situation where it's actually other people's lives on the line, as soon as he learns other people's story, he immediately like when he's like pickpocket girl, like this is whole thing, like pickpocket girl, and he as soon as he just sees her with tears in her eyes, his whole like the way he treats her flips on a dime because
Yeah.
he immediately sees the person in people
Yeah.
like that. I noticed that like up until that point he couldn't stand her, rightfully so,
Yeah.
but then when he saw her huddled up in the corner crying, it's like, hey, come chill with us, whatever, like immediately.
Yeah, even when I mean, their first encounter where he runs into her, he's trying to not get his ass beat, and he stops to help her pick her
To
stuff up and
put her little
apologize.
straw back in the cup.
Yeah, so it's you
Uh,
can clearly tell like he's not really out to get anybody, and I mean, as far as like his money situation, he has an addiction problem. Like
yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
other thing is like he has a problem. It's not even like he's just, you know, like this guy just sucks. Like he does when you first meet him, it's like it's simple to just make that assessment. It's like, this dude's just shitty. Like he just ain't, you know,
Right.
and he is shitty, but he also has an clear addiction problem with gambling. He has a gambling problem,
Yeah.
but don't know why or you know where that comes from. But he also like we said, we find out he has watch someone die, you know, like right in front of him, like, and
Right.
you know, while he was doing that was the interesting thing, like, is it was because of like a strike or something like that at a
Mm-hmm.
job, which in a strike, you're sort of sacrificing your own, you know, income for someone else's needs. Like, you're doing something selfless if you are participating in a strike, because it's going to affect you negatively. You're not going to make money.
Right.
None of you are going to make money, but you are supportive of the idea that, hey, we all need to do this in order, you know, which is something that I didn't think about initially. But you watch
Yeah.
like him getting put into the scenario that he is, it's why
Yeah.
he's like, hey, let's work together. He's been here before, like, where it's like, I'll make sacrifices so that we can all, you know, be
Yeah.
successful in this situation. So Gihan is, like I said, I always looked at him as a sympathetic character, even when he
Yeah.
was doing dumb shit. Like,
Right.
I love the him getting a gift out of the machine and giving it to the daughter, and it's just like a gun, like a lighter, like, even
But
when
he
he's doing like all of that, like,
when she pulled it out and it was a gun, I was like, I was like, what? It was blown away. And I love how he's trying to explain it away because
yeah,
he
yeah,
actually thinks it's a gun. He's just
yeah.
like, well, you gotta, stay safe out. It's like, you really think that's a real gun, and you sit here trying to explain
But it is it
um,
like that's the thing that I
yeah.
like I see with him, is like, he clearly, you know, is someone who's not really prepared to take someone's life at all. Like,
Oh,
that's not his thing. Like, he's just in a rabbit hole of his own addiction. Like, he just can't shake it. Like, he's just kind of, you know, and you spiral just out of control. You go deeper and deeper down that hole, like, instead of kind of getting out and, like, you know, doing the right thing. Is like, man, he just, I don't know if he was like that before. It seems like that trauma, whatever happened at his job, it seems like was sort of the jumping off point of his life sort of spinning out of control, because after that, he's not working anymore.
yeah.
His marriage, you know, sort of ends. He loses his family. Like, it seems like that was sort of a major thing for him to lead him down. Because as far as we know, I don't know if he was gambling like that before that. It doesn't seem
Right.
like, we don't say it explicitly, but I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear, but I mean, and who knows what we'll get, if there is going to be a season two, what else we'll learn about that, because
I
that was
kind of
sort
hope
of
it's
a
not.
I mean, I'm in that place too, to be honest, but I think what we got was enough for us to know, yeah, like you said, he's been through some trauma. It's interesting that the older man is who kind of drudges that up for him, and made me question, like, I didn't think about that right away, but you question how much still God knew about him before then, or like, just little ways that he was kind of, needling Gihan. You get the vibe he wanted him to win now that
Yeah.
on retrospect. Um and it's interesting to think about, like, I guess we should start talking about the old man, but just to put a button on the conversation on Gihan, like, I feel like his 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 kind of street smartness mixed with his empathy for people kind of put him in the right space to navigate the game pretty well, because if you really look back, like, he seems, it's weird, he's kind of, in the first episode you would think he's like, there's like a bumbling quality to him,
Yeah, yeah, for
but
sure.
you realize pretty quickly he's pretty street smart for the most part. Like, he knows how to, like, navigate. I really love that what's the guy, the bully guy's Doksu,
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he has that one moment where I'm like, it was like, oh yeah, okay, when they were putting the barricades up, and he came over and was all like, you think that's gonna protect you? And yeah, it's like, yo, your guys over there,
Right,
like,
yeah.
like, he
Yeah.
kind of just,
Super sketch.
he puts it to him, right? He puts it to him, and he got him thinking, like, oh, you know what, let's chill tonight.
Yeah. I'm tired, man.
Right. And it was clever, and then he is
Yeah.
clever throughout. I'll see Joe Ross in the chat. What up, Joe? We got a couple people saying hi. I'm just saying hi back
What
to
up?
y'all.
What up,
Appreciate it.
Joe?
But yeah, this whole journey he's on, you get to see more and more. Like, he wants to come together as a team. He also wants to, like, do what's advantageous for him throughout, but he's also like got this heart quality where he's like, the old man that nobody's picking him for their team. Let me pick him. Like,
Yeah.
he's almost like the best, like he's a mixture of what Ali and Sang-woo are. Like, they're the extremes, and he's kind of that right balance of
In the
head and
middle,
heart.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I say. Like, he's just terrible at life. Like, because he almost shouldn't be like in this scenario. This is almost like not the time to be sweet and kind, which is why, it doesn't end well for Ali. But the fact that you're in this scenario and he still just like kind of got that warm heart where it's like, man, nobody's picking this old guy. It's like, bro, did you forget that y'all are like getting killed in here? Because like the reality is like that shouldn't even be a factor. But that kind of
Right.
again even further sort of shows you like his character is he's not a bad guy, really. And
No.
because like why would you even care about that? Like that's something that should be insignificant in this scenario, because this is literally life or death, like the next
Mm-hmm.
game. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously people are just assuming, we don't know what the games are, but it's just like everybody's just like, well, I don't want nobody old on my team, like, because the ageism and the sexism is clear. It's like,
Right.
well, women, like, the sexism is
They
crazy in
they
here.
they
Like
just
they
think
go, they just like,
you really want to have a bunch of girls on your team? Like, that's
even though they don't know like what any of
yeah.
the games are, they're just like they don't even know. Like most of the games could not have anything to do with strength or what they assume like all the girls would not be good at. Like,
Right.
and some of them aren't, like the cutting out the shapes, that has nothing to do, and that wasn't a team game there, but I
Yeah.
mean even
But it wasn't relevant to like your strength.
the strength or anything. Yeah, the first game, the red light,
Right.
green light, had nothing to do with being the old man. Well, obviously, we find out the old man is in on it,
Yeah.
but even if he wasn't in on it, like he could have easily made
Yeah.
it through that level, like, and been fine.
Right.
Like
Right.
even if he wasn't in on it, it's like it had nothing to do with the biggest, strongest. I like that they kept like pointing to that, how the guys were just constantly thought less of
Mm-hmm.
the girls. And the one girl, I don't know her name, the pickpocket girl, I don't remember
Oh
what her
yeah.
name was.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, why y'all sleep on her though? Like I thought she was gonna win the whole thing. Like
Right.
I
Right.
literally was like, when the thing happened on the glass level, I was like, oh, for real. I was like, damn, I was like holding out for her to like
Yeah.
make it to the end. Like, I don't know why. Obviously,
Yeah.
Gihan is the main character, but I don't know. I just was like, I feel like she could make it out of this. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what happened. But yeah, like they was sleeping on her like super heavy, and we didn't even talk about the one, the thirsty one.
Oh my gosh. I was just thinking about her.
Like wow, extra the whole time. Like,
They did you watch the Honest trailer for Squid Game?
nah, not yet.
They made a funny joke about her. They basically like called her like the female Korean Nicolas Cage. I was like, that's
Yeah, she
kind of
was like,
legit.
yeah, she was super extra, but I like her redemption in the end though. Like, even though like I did not like her character at all. Like at no
Yeah.
point did I like her character until she kind of takes dude out. And I'm like, oh, all right. I mean,
Right.
because I was like, can we
Well,
please get this dude out of here? Like the whole
yeah, he
time I was like,
was
he just keep,
ugh.
yeah.
He was he was like it's kind of cool how it was constructed, because he was the obvious bad guy, and then Sang-woo was quietly kind of becoming a bad guy. And it was interesting how right after Doksu's death is when Sangwoo reveals himself to
as the
Gihan.
villain. Yeah. That's fire. Like,
yeah,
because the
like
whole time
same,
I'm like, how do you beat this guy? Everybody is intimidated by him. Like, nobody wants to see this dude. How do you beat this guy? You all think less of the women the entire time here, and the one woman that everyone sort of discounts is the one that takes him out in the end. And it's like, that's poetic, man. Justice for sure. Like, is.
And I did kind of laugh when she didn't get picked for Marvels, and they go into there and she's just in bed.
She's just
like,
in there, chilling. Yeah. His face is
like, it was so funny because it's like the longest setup to a punchline ever, because this, like, she's the bread of a sandwich of just tears. Like, the last time you see her, she's getting dragged off. Then you go through this grueling, most emotionally taxing episode ever, watching all these people die playing this game of Marvels. And then the next episode, they come in and it's back to her. She's just like, what y'all doing?
What y'all do, right?
They're all like broken. The one dude killed himself. Like, and she's over.
Yeah. Like, I like that. I went that too with the husband and wife. That that's terrible. And it's not even like they were like main characters that they spent a whole lot. We don't know a lot about
background characters. Really.
Yeah, we don't know a lot about them at all. But just the idea of that, again, like them sort of playing with them with these games is like, you know, you partner up with people, and then once you partner up with that person, it's like, okay, you have to play against this person. It's like, because immediately you go in there and you're thinking like, okay, I'm going with my wife, let's just stick together. Maybe if we do this together as a team, we can make it out, not knowing that it's going to be, you know, a monkey paw situation where it's going to flip itself and be like, yeah, no, you got to play against her and one of y'all got to die. Basically, it's like, wait, what? Like, yeah, let me play with somebody else, man. Like, I don't want like,
let me switch with Ali over there.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was tough. The one thing well, before we get into any kind of criticisms of the show, like, I want to talk about the old man. Like, the whole twist with him at the end, basically the reveal that he's behind kind of it sounds like he created this thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really well done. Like, especially when you go back and kind of, I've watched a bunch of the analytical videos kind of breaking down stuff, and I'm just like, man, the writing was tight, because you can go back and look at each challenge and see the writing on the wall, literally writing on the wall in the dorm, but also the writing on the wall that he was always kind of had a immunity to getting killed in any of these things. I wonder though, like, the one thing they revealed that's also my reveal was that he was the only one whose cuffs didn't have locks on.
Yeah, I saw that.
War game. Now, if this team had lost,
he would just be like, all right, y'all got me. They called me. I ain't dying. I'm just, I'm
like if they had all fallen down and the cuffs just slipped off his arms and he's just standing there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do they shoot him with blanks? And
wait,
just
what?
Acts, like, what?
Just looking at it like, what? What was what y'all looking at? like what was this? They probably would have just like went up there and escorted him out there and pretended like they was gonna shoot him, you know. And
they would have took him behind something, and you
behind a curtain, with the silhouette. Yeah, because it's like I actually, I don't know if you saw that comment. I didn't see that comment. I saw some videos where people were like, man, this shit was so obvious. I was like, was it? I didn't think anything about him the entire time. Like, even when he, when they don't, because they don't kill him on screen. They didn't show Ali getting shot on screen. They cut away from that. And I mean, there is such thing as like just emotional suspense and emotional resonance where you don't show something, and you not showing it is a more resonant than you actually showing someone getting shot in the head, especially as someone you connect with emotionally. So I didn't think of that as him being suspicious. I just thought of like, man, they don't want to show the old man get shot. Like it
He's
actually hit me more that they wouldn't show it. And I felt
right.
like it was less of them trying to trick me or hide something and more like they don't want to show it because this is from Gihan's perspective and he doesn't want to see it.
Right.
And I
I
didn't
mean,
think, yeah, I didn't.
people who just have that automatic mentality must think there are so many characters still alive on The Walking Dead.
Oh man, yeah.
Because they did that a lot. Like Carl's still alive, Andrew's
Yeah.
still alive. Like, come on now.
It's like you don't have to see it. It just like you
You
said,
know what
like
happened.
you know what happens, and that's that sort of is what makes it. And they didn't do it, and I think they purposefully don't show. Well, they show you Ali the next episode though, like
Right.
the
Right.
opening, but you don't really think it at that point. I'm not thinking about the old man anymore.
I
I'm not
wasn't,
even.
yeah.
I'm
You
not
know,
even really considering him at that point.
right at the beginning, right at the very beginning, I kind of questioned the old guy. But it wasn't from a standpoint of is he in on it? It was more a standpoint like how long has he been doing this? Because like when he
Mm,
was number one, before I knew what the game really was and what the rules were, I was like, I wonder if he's like been through several games or something, or
yeah,
like what's his deal? Like there was some element to him that I found suspect. Um, but then when he revealed he had the brain tumor, and then when he was playing the first game all happily, like I was like, okay, like I don't know, like this guy just seems like he's not fully there,
yeah. I
you know?
didn't. I think they first of all the actor did an amazing job at selling me on because he was the part of him was actually genuine. What he was saying, it's not like he was lying to Jan. Like he was telling him actual things about it. He even told him his real name. Like
Right.
he was telling them actual things that were actual like truths about
Yeah.
himself. Like
Yeah.
we just didn't know that, he like, yo, he created
Right.
this. Like that was the only thing. Like, so he never really lied about anything as far as I can remember.
He omitted things. That was it. And he
Yeah.
yeah, Joe said he was always calm. Yeah, I mean, he was a calming presence. He felt like I knew he was gonna die. Like that was the thing. Joe said I thought he was just a crazy old man.
Right. Yeah. That's
I
how I felt. Honestly, I was watching it. I was like, I think he just, he's old. He's senile. He like to me, to me, it came off as this guy's old. He's got a
mhm,
tumor. He's gonna die anyway. And he's just like, man, whatever. I'm just
right.
Hail Mary. I'm just gonna do this,
And like
like,
it was like there was no reason for me to believe he was in on it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
nah.
it was just like, why would because you don't know his motive to the end. And then when you hear his motive, it makes sense. But I wasn't thinking about anybody having a motive like that. So when he goes through the game in the marbles episode, just like like the way that he was in that episode, you were trying to figure out, I was trying to figure out, is he having like a senile moment, or is he letting Gihan win? What's going on? Like that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
That
I
one,
never
that
thought like he's
yeah.
in on it and he's playing puppet master. Like that's
Yeah,
that
nah,
was,
I didn't think that. Like I watched the video though
yeah,
of the guy doing like a reaction to it, and he was like, he had everything figured out. I was like, I
really.
don't he was like, okay, so that dude is obviously his brother, the main dude. I'm pretty sure that's probably his brother. The old dude probably set this whole thing up. Like it seemed like that's where this is going. I was like, how? Like, you
Like,
must have watched this shit already and just like did this like dude was completely capping the whole time. Like you had to watch this
oh,
already.
manufactured reaction.
Right. But I don't know, maybe he just had it figured out. Like but I like for me, I didn't see that. I just thought he was senile or whatever. And I mean, especially because early on he ends the game. Like
Right.
that episode where they get the vote, like at the beginning they get the vote and go home. I mean, obviously that's sort of his own sort of confidence that these people coming back, most of them gonna come back. I know y'all gonna come back. And that's that other thing of me saying, like, do you really have a choice? Like you like that I'm coming back. Like this is your game that you're running. You're so confident and sort of the ugliness of people, you know that they're gonna come back. And even though they saw the first round, they saw what they up against, that they could
Yeah.
possibly die. You know they coming back.
Yeah.
And so you end the game. Like, I didn't think anything of him. Like, and I wasn't even thinking about him, because when he comes back, like, the game is over now. Like, it's there's nothing going on. Like, Gihan is back home. Like, things are, whatever. I'm really not thinking about him at that point. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I just wasn't really expecting that. But I think the one story like that I kind of, when I think back on it, I was like, I don't know if that really went anywhere. It was the brother, the cop.
Yeah. There was a couple things like that. Yeah. The brother cop thing felt like a setup for, I felt like all like it was set up for a future season or something. Or I guess what it did was it provided us a in story way for us to see the behind the scenes of what was happening.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it was good
Yeah.
for that, because otherwise you needed sort of to show we don't know everything about it, but we needed to see sort of the inner workings of what goes on. What are they doing behind the scenes? And because for that reason, I feel like it works. I
Mhm.
think maybe the resolution of it all was kind of anticlimactic. Like,
It
okay,
felt very yeah, it felt a little bit tropey. Like
yeah,
it was like, oh, he gets to the top of the cliff and it's his brother. Like it was like very like
yeah,
that was the most like basic thing to happen, was like
yeah,
it's your brother. Like in my head, like what's the probability of that scenario? You know what I mean? And a lot of this
yeah,
is obviously not really plausible, but the idea of this one detective in South Korea and his brother's missing, and your brother happens to end up being the guy, like
yeah,
the front man. And it's like it was an interesting twist, because the idea that he go in thinking his brother's one of the contestants. The whole game, I'm like, which one of them is his brother? Like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, are we about to find out like Sang Woo is his brother or something weird? And
Yeah, you see, and initially what I thought was that his brother was one of those people that went um in the first game and died in the red light, green light. I
oh
thought
yeah,
that initially he was going and was going to find out his brother,
was
because I thought
already
his brother
dead.
was dead. Like, I
Yeah,
wasn't thinking in my mind that
especially when they did the thing where the kidney thing.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking that maybe his brother went there and was killed, and he's going there, and I don't know what's going to happen to him, but he's going there to try to find him. And because of that, he'll find out that his brother's gone or whatever the case, or something. I don't know, but they're allowing us to see what's going on behind the scenes through this character's perspective, which I thought it worked. Like, it was good, because you got to see that a lot of these people are just normal people. They're even trying to make their little money on the side in there, like behind the scenes. And because initially
Oregon harvesting.
because I thought that was
Yeah.
what this was at first too. Is like, I was like, oh, they're just using this, because I was like, why are they doing this? Like,
Right.
and I thought that this was some sort of scheme to, some black market scheme to get people to, so
Yeah.
they were selling organs on, like, oh, damn, okay, this is quite this is quite expensive and quite intricate just to get people's organs. But all right, I mean, you could just like catch somebody slipping on the
Yeah, the
street. You know what I'm
van. You already
saying?
picking them
You
up in
already
the
got me in a
van. Like,
van. Like, why would you go through all of this? So I was like, it can't be
yeah.
that, because like you
Right.
can spend a whole lot of money just
It's
to get
like,
a
okay,
kidney
you
real
you
quick.
you you
Yeah.
you a little bit too into this.
Right.
No, yeah, the organ harvesting kind of subplot to me was a little bit like it felt like it didn't go what was interesting is that felt like it was constructed from the brother subplot. So it was like almost like they wrote the brother thing like, okay, we definitely want to do this thing where we have a detective go in and
Yeah.
like but then it was just like it feels like there was episodes where like, okay, what do we do with this guy during this period, or how do we get him kind of into some situations where we can expose more of what's happening. And to me, that's where the organ harvesting subplot came from. It was like, here's
Yeah.
one more way for us to show the inner workings. Like it didn't feel as character driven as the other stuff did. It felt very plot driven. Like,
Yeah, and I feel like you maybe needed that too, though, because that allowed us to understand the hierarchy,
the
like
world. Yeah. Yeah.
the who's in charge. Okay, so the circles are sort of just the soldier, the underlings, and the squares and the triangles are like managers and sort of generals or whatever the case is.
Mhm.
And we understand that because we see initially like he is just a circle, and the circle doesn't mean as much. Like the circle is just kind of, a hand in there, like, doing what they're told. So I feel like it was necessary, to sort of understand without revealing those characters to us, because we needed to have we needed to know who one of them was. If they just
Right.
went in and was just showing us stuff behind the scenes of these masked people talking, I don't know if I would connect
Yeah.
with.
You needed
I
a
needed,
point of view character.
yeah, I needed
Yeah.
someone to be in there that I knew, so that we could kind of watch from his perspective and be like, what the hell is this? Versus the people in there just talking. It's like, I don't even know
Right.
what they're talking about. Like,
Right.
and I like that he was slipping up a lot. Like they were catching him, like, why don't you know this? Like, where,
Yeah. They weren't stupid. Like,
yeah,
I enjoyed his those the number 28 that was the one next to it that just kept looking at him
kept
like,
looking, yeah.
man,
Like
what's
just
up?
was suspicious of him, like for some reason. I don't even know. The initial one was like, I don't even know why he was suspicious of him.
It
Like,
was because he took like he turned the key the wrong way
oh yeah,
when he
yeah,
went to open
true.
the
Yeah,
door. He
yeah, he
turned the key the
did.
wrong way. And it's
Like,
just
fam, why
that.
you playing that close attention to
Right,
me
right,
like that? Like, yo, like, yo, I do that in my house. And oh man, my bad. I ain't mean.
right, right. But he straight looked at but that's the thing. Like he may not have even like all he did was look at him. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah,
Like we don't even know what the guy's reaction behind that mask actually was. He could have just been like, oh, that's crazy. But like to
right,
us,
right, yeah,
because we're in the shoes of this guy, it's just like, oh
yeah.
no, they figured him out.
Right,
It's good stuff, man. Like somebody
yeah,
was saying, that was the other thing they said something about Nana's trailer was like the guards like are all dressed up like PlayStation controllers because they
yeah,
got
yeah.
the square, the circle, and the
I
triangle.
did see that though, like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's was intentional, but I did see that. Someone said that in one of the things where like it's a game. It's sort of like reference from like the game controller, which
It looked
the
like it looks like there's a towards the end when there was that box.
yeah. Also, the Squid Game, that box is made of those shapes as well. So I
Right.
thought
Yeah.
maybe that might be something like a connection to that as well.
I mean, I think that's what it
Probably
was.
more what it was, but
But like there was a box towards the end, and because of the color, it really made me think of a PlayStation controller. It was like black,
mm,
and then it had the
yeah,
square, triangle, circle, and I was like,
yeah,
add an X, and that's like an actual PlayStation box that they could use for marketing.
yeah. Nah, but
um,
I like
yeah,
that. That was the only thing, was the cop thing. Was there was things about it that worked. There was things that I was like didn't maybe work, and the small details, like them paying attention to that. I thought it was funny when the brother was like, oh, you messed up because I never put the phone down, turn that way. Like, yo,
like
like, why
really, you
y'all paying
don't
attention?
like.
Like, you really never, not one time, if you ever put the
Well,
phone
what's
down.
funny is that was a little bit like, and maybe that's what it was, is that the cop stuff felt the most, like I said, like most on the nose, most like, but
Yeah.
like, it's funny because I mean, I think all of us notice in the scene that he noticed that. Like he goes in, they
Mhm.
visually show him almost grab it differently, and then he turns his hand, and then he has this pause, and it's really it's good showing, not telling,
Yeah.
because he doesn't even have he has a mask on, and you know that he's suspecting something. And then he goes out, and then they kind of ruin it by having him vocalize it like,
Just say it.
I
Yeah.
never put the routine. I'm like, all right, dude. Like,
It's like, all right, bro.
I
Okay.
saw that. Like they visually communicated that very
Yeah.
well. Like, why would you say that out loud?
Even when he initially goes there and picks up the phone and puts it down, they linger on the phone for a second and I was like, what was that? I remember when that happened, I was like, whoa, what was I supposed to see right there? So I was like, all right. I mean, when it comes back later, like he didn't even need to say it. When they show it again, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's all right.
They did a good job. It's a top view. You see his hand go to it one way, and then he picks it up slowly. He does the talking, and when he puts it back down, you know, it's just like, that's it. You didn't need to be like, I don't ever do it that way. All right, man.
Yeah, he could have just went and started to look for him. Like, I know you in here. Like, he didn't even have to say
exactly
that.
And that would have made him more. I mean, he was a pretty intimidating kind of character, but like, that just would have continued that feeling. That moment, he kind of felt a little bit cartoonish to say it out loud like that.
I mean, those later episodes is when things sort of got just cartoonish anyway, especially with the guests coming. The Americans sucked. Like, they just was not good. Like,
weird.
The performance was weird. Like, the way they were at, like, the dialogue was kind of clunky and like, what? Like, just cheesy, like, stuff that they were saying. They were pretty out there anyway. Yeah. Like,
well, and maybe that was intentional. I mean, it might have been intentional, but I think tonally they fell off from what we were seeing. It was so dark and visceral up to that point. To then have them come in these gold masks and be all like, you know, the women like curled up on the floor as footstools, and like it just felt all of a sudden almost like John Wick type of thing, where like John Wick is dark and gritty, but it's also very kind of over the top in the sense of
it's
like,
very stylized.
Yeah, like everybody pays in coins and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like it felt like that world, whereas the rest of the show didn't feel like that world. And maybe that was intentional. Like, let's show you the dichotomy between these worlds, you know. But,
and I mean, I guess it worked in that way, like just showing how different, you know, the lifestyle of these, you know, guests are versus the people that are actually in the games. Like, I mean, it works on that level. I just didn't like their performances. Like, the performances just felt weird. It was like, why does this feel so cartoonish now? Like, it just didn't feel like real people at all. Like, and again, maybe that's on purpose, like, because, you know, I say this a lot. Like, I see like celebrities do stuff, and that shit look corny as hell to me. Like, maybe on my level, that's not cool, but amongst themselves, I'm like, y'all don't find this dude like just extra, like some of the, like, there's certain rappers and
like
stuff
when they do interviews and stuff, or
no, like you'll see, like, if you see like what's his name, like DJ Khaled or something, do anything, or, you know, just like, there's just other artists that I see, and the way that they talk and their mannerisms, I'm like, is this really how you are, or is this like the act?
DJ Khaled's a good example. Like,
like where there's
shoe shopping thing, like
where it's just like, you know, I stay, you don't got behind it, like, all right, like it's just like, but is this really like your personality at all? And from what I've heard is like, that is his personality, but there's certain other ones where I'm like, I feel like I was watching something too with, was it J-Lo? I can't remember. Like, I feel like I was watching like some actor like roundtable thing. And I think, I don't know, just the way she was talking, I was just like, what? Like, it just was coming off like so like
phony, kind of.
Yeah, like it was just like real, like up her own ass, basically. Like how you think celebrities talk. It's like go get me a drink type of, like, she didn't say that, but it just like had that type of like attitude of like, I know how glamorous I am type of shit. Whereas like that shit corny to me. I'm like, yo, y'all look so corny and whack. Like, I understand you have a lot of money and influence and power, but like some of their personalities, just like the thing that they think, like, that's not that cool though. Like, I see people over by my house, like I see a lot of people like I guess people got money over here. I don't know, but I be seeing dudes driving around in like Range Rovers and them little what's them things? I don't even know what they call like the T-Rex things where it's like a motorcycle type
Oh
slash
yeah, yeah,
car
yeah.
thing.
Slingshot or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate those. I think that shit's whack to me. But like I see
Right.
dudes in those and like they be thinking they like so tight, like they be having like glasses on. I
I
saw
was
a
gonna
dude
say the
today,
glasses.
like he had the shades on, like he was super fresh, like one of his feet was hanging out, like he had like chains
Oh
on. I was
no.
like, nigga, you look so whack. I was like, you don't look tight though. Like
Right.
and I'm not even like coming from a hating. Like I want
Oh,
that.
it's just
I don't want it. It's just you're trying real hard to look cool right now.
right, right.
And I feel like that was to go back to my point was like it seemed like that was maybe the choice for those characters is like
Look how
look
rich
how
I am.
because some of them are really like that, like people that
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
successful they really come off as just corny to me, like they have
Like P Diddy
money.
kind of, because I always
Yeah,
forget about
yeah.
him.
They just
Yeah,
come off like, yeah, boy, I got all, I stay with the freshest,
yeah,
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. It's like, what? Like,
It's like
okay.
everybody's in an episode of Cribs.
Yeah. Like that shit is just corny as hell to me. Like, I'm not
Right.
impressed by that. Like, I like that
And
type of like
yeah, and I think they
mannerism.
did.
Yeah.
I think that would be a choice that I feel makes sense in order to make sense of those performances. It's like
Right, right.
be the most, and I guarantee, I almost guarantee that was the direction. Like be as douchey and like, because there is something over the top, like almost cartoonish about the stuff that they're saying and the way that they're saying it, the way they throw their heads around. That's the other thing too, was like I noticed this in Batman Begins. My wife pointed it out. She's just talking about how like whenever an actor has to wear a mask, they always over exaggerate their movements in order to convey like their emotions. And she noticed it in Ra's al Ghul in that movie. Like throughout the movie, Liam Neeson's given a pretty like Liam Neeson performance.
Yeah, for
And then
sure.
like at the end when he's wearing that mask, when there's they gas in the whole city, he has this moment where he just all of a sudden turns into Jim Carrey or somebody, because he's just like uh he's like, I see you took my theatricality tip a bit literally. It's just like, why is he like
Like,
so
why you moving?
extra?
Like, yo, why you moving so much, bro?
And
Just
it's part,
talk,
it's
man.
like
Like,
it's like obvious. That's a good, like it's like obvious. Like he didn't act like that the rest of the. It's like he's overcompensating for the fact that he's wearing a mask, and there's probably a little bit of that too. They have these masks on, so it's like you have to exaggerate your
they
thing.
trying
So
to so
you
people
know,
get, yeah, I feel like Tom Hardy did some of that with Bane where he was just like really going
his
like over,
eyes,
like his eyes
yeah.
is like super trying like, all right, okay, like, we get it, like you talking right now.
He does all that just so you know he's
Just so
talking.
you know he's talking right. Yeah.
Nah, man. I mean, but my criticisms are pretty light. Like the I think the latter half of the season and the last couple episodes, or I think after the Marvel episode, it's slowly kind of, there's aspects of it that bring it down a little bit.
Mhm.
Everything that happens to me within the Squid Game, the main storyline, to me generally works.
Yeah.
The fact that some people were critical of the fact that the actual Squid Game didn't factor in very much, but like I kind of liked that. Like I thought it was a nice subversion that they started playing the Squid Game in that last round and it just turns into a fight. Because to me, like the reason you show in the first episode them play a whole round of the Squid Game is because you're never going to see that again. And
Yeah.
like it's like any movie, you ever watch a movie like a heist movie, whenever they show you the plan while they're talking, you know that that's not how it's going to play out.
Yeah, it's not gonna go that way. Yeah.
It's like that's why they're showing it to you. And so I really kind of expected. I'm like, okay, this isn't gonna like be just them playing the Squid Game and then it ends. Like this is gonna fall apart. And the idea that
Yeah.
that's where it falls apart makes sense. And it was a really well shot scene.
That
Like,
was a great scene. Like
yeah,
it was like you could feel just like the tension between those two people. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
Like for me, because it was never about the games anyway. Like
Right.
the people watching didn't care if they went out there and played like a traditional, Squid
Right.
Game. Like they wasn't. That's not even why they were even watching. It's never about that in the first place.
Yeah.
Like it was them betting on who was gonna live or die.
Right.
They didn't care about the game. The games were completely trivial to them. Like it didn't even matter. Like the games never mattered this entire time we were watching them. It's just like
Yeah.
who's gonna make it and who's not gonna make it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really. I mean, what else was it gonna? Because the game, the actual Squid Game, has no killing involved. So
Right.
what else was this gonna be but
Yeah.
a fight to the death? Like that's just what it was
Yeah.
gonna be anyway. Like
And well, and then they introduced that rule on purpose of like, if the other players are able to compete, then you win. It's like, oh, okay. So if I kill this dude, I win. That's like,
yeah,
that's what you're
that's
telling
it.
me.
Yeah, that's it. Because like, well, we was gonna actually sit here and play the game. Like with the rules, like, yo, get out of here. Like that. That's what they
I
wanted.
gave us a knife last night. Like,
They're like throughout. Like it's like what to go back to society or whatever, but it's like what they do with low income neighborhoods. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, y'all, throw some crack in there, throw some drugs in there in this neighborhood. We put some
Oliver
guns in
North.
his
Yeah.
right. Sprinkle some crack on them and let's get out of here. Did you see that Dave Chappelle? I forget which one.
Sprinkle some crack on it. Oh, man.
But
Dave
it's like,
Chappelle.
yeah,
Yeah.
you just insert these things into this neighbor. Okay, oh, okay, we need them to do XYZ, but how do we get them to do it without explicitly saying it? It's like, okay,
Right.
well, let's influence it in some different ways. You turn this into a low income neighborhood. You make things difficult for you to make money and to get educated and because you're not educated, then you're going to result to something, a little bit more primitive as far as your resolution for things. You're not going to like strategically think your way out of this. You're going to react because you're hungry, you're poor, you're tired, and then
Right.
we give you a knife the day before, like, hey, how did these guns get here? Like, shit, hell if I know, I don't know. Like, yeah, why don't you try one out, pick one up though? It's a
Yeah.
video game, like basically. It's like it's just stuff here. You pick it up and you use it like as you need it in the game. And it's like, I don't know who put this here, but it's here,
Right.
so and I need it like randomly. Why is this guy after me? Now I have to try to save myself. And it's like that's what it is the people up top influencing with the putting them look at all the stuff that they've done to us up until this point, because Gihan's like character is fully transformed at that point.
Yeah.
Even the decision for him to be on the offense instead of the defense, like
Right.
is a clear, like concise, like decision for
And
him
you
to
knew
make
he was going to
to
make that decision because
exactly
you were with
because
him emotionally.
he's been pushed to that, because that's not even what
Yeah.
he wants to be. He's been pushed to that, like,
Right.
and it's like which like I feel, which makes me feel conflicted about the old man, because while
Right.
he still seems like kind of a sweet old man, like the fact that these are the tactics used in this game, because it's not like he
Yeah.
just like, hey, come here, play some games. They dangerous games. If you make it out, you can make some money. If you don't, unfortunately, you could
Right.
lose your life. It's not like it's just that. Like they do little things along the way to influence you. They give them less food, so now they're
Right.
hungry. They turn them against each other. They tell them little things. They give them nuggets. Like they watch the dude kill him, and then they don't do anything, right? Because them not
Yeah.
doing anything is them communicating something to the people there that, wait, if we kill somebody, nothing happens. And
Right.
it's like they do
And
all these
more money
little,
gets dumped into that
more money
ball.
gets done. Exactly. And
Yeah.
even that nuance of like having the piggy bank there so we can see.
And it's lit up at night. You
Yeah.
notice that when the
Yeah.
room is dark at night, the ball is still lit up.
Yeah.
It's like
It's just these really small things that is like, because at any time we could leave here, but it's that thing just floating over you, literally hanging over your head like the entire time. convince you to stay here and continue doing these things, and we're going to push you in the directions that we want you to go. We're not going to stop you from doing things that are immoral because we
Right.
want to see it. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not against the rules. Like, and we know that once you cross that line, it becomes easier each time for you to just be that person now. And it's like, that is terrible. But like,
Yeah.
it's like, what are these people making these decisions, or are their decision already being made for you? Like, basically.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, right? But ultimately, yeah, I mean, the old man he is the bad guy. Like, he really is. And it's
Yeah.
hard because you're like, you still kind of like him at the end. It's weird. It's
Yeah,
the
right.
performance is so good.
Yeah.
The kind of, you fall in love with him, and then you think he's dead, and then yes, you find out at the end, like, oh, he's alive, and he was like the dude. Um, and then it takes some reflection for you to come around to, like, yeah, he was kind of messed up. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
got,
gonna.
like you just said, like, you establish these games that literally all these people are dead, and to know that he was never in any real danger. Like,
Yeah.
that's the other part of it that makes it more like, dang, dude, like, because somebody pointed out, not just the handcuff, they were pointing out how every challenge he was not in any real danger. And even in the first one, uh like, I guess they showed the sensors from the
Yeah.
girl's eyes. His sensor, his heat thing doesn't light up, and it's like, so he would have even got shot, and anybody around him, like, it's just like, yeah, I mean, that's
It's you almost, again, like, it's hypocritical. Like, which that's what's dope. It's like, you never really get to see him be a villain. Like, he never
right.
is like mustache twirling villain where he reveals his, even he's dying when you see him the last time, and then he actually does die.
Yeah.
And the only thing we have to go off of him being a villain is when we piece together all of the stuff at the end. It's like, wait a minute, you was
Right.
here, you wasn't ever in danger, you came up with all of this. That's what makes you realize, like, how terrible he is. It's not really anything you see him do. You
Right.
never really see him do anything bad. It's like,
It's just the knowledge. Like,
yeah, that you start to realize, like, wait a minute, what the hell? Like, yo, hold on, this dude, yo, I felt, it's funny because this girl I work with, like, I didn't say anything, but she was like, yeah, I'm was getting caught up on, I don't know if any of you guys are watching Squid Game, but I'm on the Marvel. I just finished the Marvel episode, and man, like, I felt so terrible. And then I was messenger. I was like, I know, man. I was like, I was crying when Ali died. And she was like, I know. He's like, I felt even worse when the old man died. And I was like,
welp.
yeah, true. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what that meme was funny to me, when it's like, I want every tear back that I wasted on this man. Because it's like, but no, it was well constructed. And yeah, I mean, overall, the show's just really, I encourage anybody who hasn't watched it to check it out. The dub is not what's up. I didn't know there was. I think I just started watching it, and it automatically did the dub, and I could not connect with the characters, the voice acting, and it just was weird. It was stilted
Nah,
and awkward.
it was weird.
And so I switched it, and I just think the performances come through. Bon Joon-ho said about when he did this thing about Parasite. I always kind of remember that quote when he said, "You have to get past the 1 inch barrier of subtitles, and really just dive in, and you can immerse yourself in the movie even if there's subtitles." People like treat that like that's some kind of wall, but um you really can connect better. I tell people, somebody asked me on Facebook, he said, me and my wife are getting ready to dive into Squid Game, anything I should know or whatever. And some people would just be like, it's brutal, like, bring tissue and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yo, switch it to the subtitles. And
Yeah,
then, like,
that's
that
yeah.
comment, like, a bunch of people was like, yes, because I think Yeah, a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, like I saw like there was one channel I was watching where they were like watching it live and doing their reactions or whatever, and there's like, we just can't watch subtitles, like, so we're gonna watch it with the dub. And I was like, and I
Can't.
kind of started watching it and I was like, this shit is awful. Like I had somebody that I knew, like before I watched it, and was like, I tried to watch it and it was stupid. I couldn't get into it. And I went and I was watching it with the dub initially. And I was like, this looks silly. This look goofy. Like it don't even
Right.
feel like the same show. Like I don't even know how you could
Yeah.
get through it. Like for me, I couldn't get through. I couldn't take it serious. If I had watched it that way, if that was the only way to watch it, I don't even know if I would have watched it. I would have probably
Right.
cut it off because I'm like, this is silly, man. I can't even take this serious.
Especially because the first episode hinges so heavily on Gihan as a character and that actor's performance. And
Yeah.
for that to be replaced with a voice that isn't his, it just creates a huge barrier. You're just like because yeah, like I said, I was first started watching, I was like, my eyes were kind of glazing over. I was like, all right. And then so that's when I went in and switched it, and it just like a light switch.
Yeah, click like that's the only version that I even know, because I can't even picture it any other way. Like I don't know, like I don't even want to hear what the other voices were for some of the other people. Like I'm just like, I don't know.
Right.
I only heard the Gihan and the mom. Like everything else, I was like, I'm done with this. I can't hear any other.
Right.
I don't even want to picture like what it is. It just ruins it for me. I don't know.
I mean, there's always those there's those bad dubs, and the old, you can imagine what the old man would have sounded like. You can imagine what, what is this game?
Yeah.
Like, all right, man.
Like, all right.
So I mean, I think we've said plenty about Squid Game. Watch it if you haven't. If you have, let us know in the comments what you thought. Obviously, continue the dialogue. This is our testing of the live stream format. Very basic test. You see the giant zoom on the screen. I didn't realize that was going to be the case when I set this up, that zoom is just really big.
Yeah, they really want you to know what it is, right?
It's Zoom, powered by Zoom.
Right.
It's like, all right, man. But thanks for joining us. If you're here or if you're seeing this later on, whatever the case, we're gonna try to just do more stuff like this. I'm gonna try to up our game a little bit and switch back to the OBS.
I was like, it's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you
without some blacks and Mexicans.
I know.
But yeah. So thanks so much. Until next time, stay safe. How do I do this?